Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Saturday, November 16th, 2024. And like it or not, it is fight day. Mike Tyson, Jake Paul going down in Arlington, Texas. Yep, in Dallas, the Cowboy Stadium. And the weigh-in was yesterday. And look, a lot of people up and about have seen the slap. Mike Tyson, come on Neil, he loves going in the trees. We saw the big slap, and that's given a lot of people hope. A lot of people up and about, did you see the slap? Wow, Mike Tyson means business. He slapped Jake Paul. Well, you know, I'm not sure that constitutes meaning business, but look, he's done it pretty well. We all knew that Jake Paul was going to act a clown. He does that every single time, so it's really hard to, you know, see when he's acting or not, I suppose, because he just acts all the time. Whereas Mike Tyson, he's done a pretty good job. When I interviewed him, or tried to interview him after the slap, he almost looked like the Mike Tyson of old, of not wanting to talk, very grumpy, very standoffish, very menacing. To the point where the poor old announcer thought he was back in 1991 or something, didn't he? He backed off like, wow. Look, I know, again, everyone's excited about what might happen today. I'm still very, very sceptical. And one thing about that weigh-in with the slap, and my wife Tara actually pointed this out, if you look when it did happen, apparently he stepped on his toe. Okay, he stepped on his toe, so he gave him a bit of a slap. I still think he telegraphed it like a 58-year-old man would, but anyway, he had the desired effect. But Tara pointed out that when you watch the slap happen, no one reacts, especially the girls at the back. You have a look at the girls at the back, you would think that these are just models, actresses, dancers, whatever they hire them as, models probably, but you watch them at the back, you would think that they're not usually accustomed to this sort of stuff, and they would recoil in shock horror and maybe get a little bit scared, or, you know, eyes wide open, whatever it might be, but none of them react. It's almost like they were told beforehand, girls, there's going to be a little bit of a fracas on the stage, don't panic, it's just for fun, all's going to be okay. So look at it and make of it what you will. But when she pointed it out, I was like, wow, no one reacts. Even the security and all that. I know they all sort of jumped in, but it was a little bit half-hearted, and, you know, Jake had a bit of a laugh about it. I don't know. Look, I'm trying my best to give it a chance, but I just cannot get past the fact that this fight just looks totally scripted to me. And the fact that it's on Netflix is probably the, you know, the thing that stands out the most. I mean, it's the king of the streaming services, isn't it? As far as movies and documentaries and docuseries and all that stuff goes. So, actually speaking of that, I watched the first episode of Cobra Kai last night. A little bit slow, I will say. Episode 6, I think it is in total of the whole thing of the last season. So yeah, at least that was good to watch on Netflix. But look, hey, it's an event. Everyone's talking about it. It's all over the socials. Everyone's got an opinion. And look, whether we don't rate the fight at all or think it's a joke, whatever it might be, everyone in the boxing industry that has a platform is talking about the fight, whether that's in a good or bad way. Come on, buddy, we've got a dog there. Come on. So yeah, so isn't that what Netflix wants? Isn't that what it's all about? So even the most respected platforms out there are all talking about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. And I am still, come on buddy, come on, we'll get out of there. Come on. I'm still fascinated by what exactly is going to happen. You know, is Mike Tyson actually going to come out and try and win the fight? The fact that I don't think he knocks Jake Paul out, even if it wasn't scripted, is the fact that they're wearing 14-ounce gloves. Very hard to knock someone out, especially that size, with 14-ounce gloves. You've got to remember they wear 10-ounce gloves at heavyweight. So 14-ounce gloves, yeah, I'm just not sure whether even Mike Tyson can get the job done. I hope he does. even with all this ridicule and skepticism, I still really hope that even if it's just by chance or luck, that he lands one on Jake Paul, because you know he's going to jump on the ring ropes afterwards, exclaim that, you know, he's now one of the greatest fighters of all time by beating one of the greatest fighters of all time. It's going to be sickening. And I did see something along the lines where he did say that he reckons he could have beaten Mike Tyson at any stage of his career. That in itself should just cause us all just to turn off. But anyway, we'll all be watching. I am going to do the watch along today at 1:30. I think the card starts at 12. So I'm really more than anything looking forward to the undercard. Should be a really good card. So anyway, a little bit of other boxing stuff. Of course, we can't not on a Saturday do Oscar's Clapback Thursday. Of course, it comes out sort of Friday afternoon here in Australia, so I'll do it of a Saturday. So it becomes our Clapback Saturday. He was another one that got stuck into the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. Look, every week it gets better. The production gets better with the sound effects, the production, you know, when he says the brah. It's awesome. So just forgive me about the wind here, guys, if it gets a bit windy. But he got stuck in the fight. He's another one that hopes that Jake Paul lands one on the chin of Mike Tyson. So anyway, it'll be entertaining. What was the other thing he said? Oh, the Ring magazine. That was one that sort of pricked my ears a little bit, because if you didn't know that he'd sold the Ring magazine to Turki Al Sheikh for $10 million, and what do you call it? It's definitely cringy, but just I don't know, it's almost sickening, the love fest with Turki Al Sheikh these days. And I'm not having to go at Turki Al Sheikh here. He's doing what he does, saving boxing, all the rest of it. But Oscar's saying, you know, I've had hundreds of offers over the years, and I never really, you know, I just didn't get the right feel until His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh came along, and I know he's with his integrity and blah, 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 blah. Okay, mate, we know. You get the feeling that Oscar's making a lot of money with Turki Al Sheikh, don't you? This is the same guy, by the way, and I keep going over it, who said that no one encroaches upon my territory. This is Oscar De La Hoya. No one comes onto my turf and tries to conduct big boxing events, and pretty much 2 or 3 months later is in Turki Al Sheikh's back pocket. So, Oscar, I love you. I love the Clapback Thursday stuff. I love everything that you do. But, mate, you're just a suck ass like the rest of them. You really are. And as much as you and Eddie have this little tiff going on, you're both exactly the same as each other. However, with Eddie, I think it's a little bit different. I've got a little bit more respect for Eddie in the situation with Turki Al Sheikh, because yes, he's making a lot of money, but he was probably the first one to go with Turki Al Sheikh. And even though he talks him up as well, it's purely, in my opinion just a business respect, where he got in first. He does business with Turki Al Sheikh, but treats it that way. You don't see, yes, he'll praise Turki Al Sheikh, but it's not the gushing like a little schoolgirl, like Oscar De La Hoya does. So Oscar, I love you, mate, but just tone down the affection for Turki Al Sheikh. We know he's got a good relationship, but just, you don't have to, you know, kiss his ass every time, and every time you do a video. But anyway, making a lot of money, so good luck to him, I suppose. All right, so on to some other boxing stuff, and I did see that the David Benavidez, David Morrell fight is locked in for February 1 now. It was going to be January 25 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. I can't wait for that one. That will be awesome. Depending on what the card looks like, the rest of the card, that's one of the fights I wouldn't mind actually going over to see, to be part of. I think that would be awesome. But again, it just depends on who they put on the undercard. I don't think I'd go over just for that fight with a so-so undercard. If they put some really good fights on there, I reckon it might be one to go to. The other one, fight that not so many people care about, is that Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach fight. That's going to be, I think, talking about March 14th. I think they were talking about that. It was supposed to be in December. So it's been put back once, put back again. I think they're struggling to get a card together, struggling to get the proper location, struggling to really get any interest in the fight whatsoever. So, yeah, they put it back to March at the moment. Don't be surprised if they try and get another big fight on the undercard of that. So, Just quickly on the other series I've been doing with my career, I've had a lot of people say, well, what did you do after boxing? You know, what did you know, you've finished boxing, now what? Well, I'll quickly sort of go into a little bit of what I went into, and if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I went into the liquor industry, but I'll give you a bit of an insight of how I got into my business, and I suppose how it's going today, because I'm still in it 26 years later. Almost 26 years later. Now, after boxing, now, like a lot of sports people, mainly probably football players, the ones that do it, but you know, a lot of people go into pubs, and for some reason, I wanted to own a pub, more specifically a bar, not so much a pub. I wanted a bar, sports bar, and now, I was never a real drinker. Yeah, I went out with the boys and had a few big nights along the journey and all the rest of it, but I didn't know anything about pub life. I never went to actual pubs. I went to bars and clubs and all that sort of stuff, and didn't know anything about pubs. The culture of pubs and the liquor industry, I knew nothing about it. I wasn't really a drinker, especially when I got serious about the boxing. I wasn't really a drinker at all, and as I said, I knew nothing about the industry. So, but I wanted a pub. And fortunately, I had a really good friend whose father-in-law was a little bit cashed up, and we had a good relationship. He always sort of backed me with the boxing. He said, look, I've got a little pub I've been sort of looking at here in Bendigo. It's called the Rose of Australia Hotel. And he said, look, it's cheap. It's only a little pub. I knew the pub well. I'd never been in there, but I knew it. I drove past it a lot on the way to the gym. And he said, look, it's come up. The owners in there are quite old. They want to get out. If I buy the freehold of the pub, would you want the leasehold? And I said, well, I'm not really sort of cashed up at all. I've just sort of finished boxing and still working at the bank by then, and Tara was working at the bank as well. And he said, look, here's the deal. I'll buy the freehold. I will give you the leasehold, and you will pay it back to me over the next, it was either 1 or 2 years, whatever it was. So it was an offer too good to refuse. Now, I was just gung-ho. I just wanted, I was ready to go. I wanted to get into it. Now, probably in hindsight, I probably didn't think about it too much because I, again, knew nothing about the liquor industry or pubs. Pubs have got a pretty unique, well, they used to anyway, a very unique culture of the people that drink at pubs. Now, I didn't know anything about this sort of stuff, but the social clubs and the pool teams and the darts teams, all this sort of stuff, I had no idea about this stuff. I never went to pubs. And it's just that Aussie culture. And if you're drinking pubs, you know what I'm talking about. It's just a unique sort of way they all go about it. It's like one big dysfunctional family, all the regulars that go there. But anyway, so I got in this little pub. It had no kitchen, no TAB, it had nothing. All it was a tiny little bar, had a pool room, had a little room out the back that they used to play hooky and all that sort of stuff with. Coits, I think, was the other one. Yes, Coits. And a little bottle shop outside, the size of probably a bedroom, was the size of the bottle shop with a little canopy built on the side. It was absolutely tiny. So I went in there and I thought, oh, how good's this? I'm in the pub, and look, there was probably a lot of, I found out later, a lot of skeptical people saying, well, what's this guy? You know, I was 25 years old, maybe almost 26. And I had a really good job at the bank, by the way, and I had a big future at the bank, I think. I was doing really well there, even though I was just the token athlete. I tried my hardest, and I led all the referrals and all that sort of stuff with the tellers. I really tried hard. So I reckon I had a future in the banking industry. So I left that to go to the pub. And again, in hindsight, it was probably a stupid idea, not something I would probably do these days. But I went into the pub, and it was a very unique culture change or experience for me, because the pub life, you know, you get a mix of the tradies that come in, you get a mix of the just the regulars that just sit there all day and drink beer. You know, they might be on pensions or whatever it might be, and then you get the deros that come in. We all know them, the locals, the local boys that come in, and it was a really interesting mix. And I must admit, I did enjoy it. I loved getting behind the bar, and everyone sort of asked about the boxing, and I had a lot of things to talk about, and I sort of done it up into a little bit of a sports bar type of thing, and it was a lot to get my head around anyway. But it got to the point where probably about 3, 4, 5 months in, I sort of realised that the pub wasn't really my thing, the bar side of things. What I really took a liking to was the bottle shop side of things. I've always had this thing about maths and data and numbers and figures and all this sort of stuff, and the whole thing of working out margins and deals and buying certain ways. It really appealed to me, and it was a lot easier. I sort of got tired, if I'm being honest. I got a little bit tired of sitting in a bar, and you could smoke in bars back then. So this smoke-filled bar of listening to hard luck stories, and you know, people who I just, even though they were good people, I struggled to sort of relate to them a little bit, because I was so you know, motivated and everything about what I was doing, and I just sort of struggled to sit in a bar all day just talking about stuff, you know, footy, the weather, you name it, whatever it was. So I really took to the bottle shop, and had a little bit of, and back then, again, I knew nothing about the bottle shop industry, so, and the way it was supposed to be done. This is the thing, all bottle shops in the past had done it a certain way, and I think it was to my advantage that I had no idea about the way it was supposed to be done. So I looked at the bottle shop and went, right, all right, everyone's doing this. This is just almost the, you know, the price that most people charge. This is the margin they make. These are the deals they get. And I was like, yeah, I'm not so sure about that. So I took a bit of a punt. I got the calculator out and thought, okay, I could sell 10 cartons a week. And let's just say it was a product like Woodstock Bourbon, which played a massive part in our business. Let's just say it's that. I looked at the Woodstock Bourbon and went, okay, the normal price is about, you know, you get 3 cans for $10. That seems to be the, you know, what everyone sort of charges, and they make the sort of 25 to 30% margin, and this is, you know, and I can sell them at 10 cartons a week, and it's all good, and I can just tick over and just do exactly that, just tick over. And I thought, what if I slashed the price and gave everyone 4 cans for $10 and only made about 20% margin, but sold 3 or 4 times as much? And that's the sort of mentality that I had. So I took the biggest plunge I ever had at that point. I bought a pallet of Woodstock Bourbon, which was 90 cases, and it worked out to about $4,000, and I was peaking. I was like, oh my God, I've just spent $4,000 on a product. Am I going to sell it? I've got to pay for it, whatever it might be. And what I did, I went out the front, I got a big A-frame, well, not an A-frame, a board, like a, I already had, I think, a big sign out the front, but I got this sign erected, and I put on there, and I got it in fluoro paint. I got the local sign writer to come down in fluoro paint, just because we were on a main road. It was a really good road. And I just put Woodstock Bourbon, 4 for $10. Now, if you're drinking Woodstock these days, you're probably getting 2 for $10, but back then it was like 4 for $10, let's go. And it just absolutely exploded. And it was in the right area, very low demographic area. They loved the cheap grog, and it really worked well. And I was selling a pallet a week, just a pallet a week of Woodstock. And it just went bang, and all of a sudden we became the sort of the it place to go, I suppose. Every second person coming through, four Woodies, thanks, 4 Woodies, thanks. And then something even better happened that really helped what I was doing, because not only did I do Woodstock, then I went on to things like vodka cruises, and I did the beer and all these different packs, all these packs that you'd never seen before, that no one was doing. And then the GST came in, which was the biggest sort of rocket boost you could ever imagine, because what they did when they worked out the GST, there was some sort of loophole or something that they did that actually made the cost of alcohol go down. So all of a sudden I thought it was wrong. I thought this can't be right. So I did the sums, and it was working out even cheaper than what we were getting it before. So 4 Woodies became 5 Woodies. And not just Woodstock Bourbon, vodka cruisers, UDLs, you name it, with Jim Beam, you know, they were sort of more 4 for $10. Now all those other cheaper ones were 5 for $10, and all of a sudden our bottle shop figures to when we started went up about 1,000%. That's how much it improved, and we were the #1 bottle shop in town as far as just the place to go. And of course I invested a lot of money in it. I had fluoro signs everywhere. I had my own label, I called it the Premix King, and I started advertising on TV and radio and all that sort of stuff, and all of a sudden we were just kicking ass. We really were. And we started off with 1 staff member that used to look after the bar and bottle shop, And all of a sudden on a Friday and Saturday night, we've got 3 or 4 staff just in the bottle shop alone. And if you're a drinker today, you're thinking, Woodstock bourbon's 5 for 10, Jim Beam's 4 for 10. Yeah, that's how cheap it was. It was just nuts. Now, to put it in perspective these days, I think they don't do 440ml Woodstocks anymore, but you probably get a 6-pack for $25. That's 375ml cans. We were doing 440 Woodstocks at 5 for $10. And as I said, UDLs, cruisers, you name it, it was all on special. Beer was 7 for 10, 7 cans for $10. That's what we were doing. And yeah, our margin was lower, but we'd gone up at over 1,000% in sales. It was just crazy. And that was the launch of my brand called Premix King. And over the years, I ended up getting a partner involved. We had 3 stores of our own before we got a partner on board. We had Castlemaine and Echuca down here in Victoria, and that's how it started. And after that was 1999. After 23 years, I ended up selling the Premix King name, or my share, to my partner. And like all partnerships, they have their due date, and it come to the point of who was going to buy who out. I wanted a whole new direction, because we'd opened or been a part of 30 odd stores over the journey. Probably even more that we'd opened and closed, sold every month. It could have been 35, 40 stores in total that we'd had, not owned specifically by ourselves. A lot of them had been licensed out or franchised out, whatever you might want to call it. But I sold the Premix King, which is still going. They're still going strong, and I've started my own little brand now, where we've got about to have our 5th store, and that's called Top Dog Liquor. So in case you wanted to know what I do and how I do it, that's what I do. And I think I said in yesterday's video, the reason I was successful, one, because I had no idea the way it was supposed to be done. And that's probably a little lesson for people out there in business, getting in there, get into business, especially in something that's very well known or there's a lot of competition, is don't get into it if you're just going to do it the same as everybody else. You're just wasting your time. If I had went in there and just did it the way that the chains were doing it the Safeways, Woolworths, whatever it is, we're doing it, the IGAs, and as Chopper says, it would have been another bare bum in the shower. That's what would have happened. It would have just ticked along, and who knows, eventually I might have been crushed by the weight of costs involved in the industry, and wages and rates and insurance and all that sort of stuff. But I carved out that niche where everyone that was going left. I went right and carved out my whole unique part of the business, to the point where a lot of the companies modelled the core flutes and stuff they put around other bottle shops. They made them in the model of what we were doing at our shop, the black with the fluoro, and we had all different slogans and all different stuff. Really shook it up, and we were just the place to go, not just in Bendigo for starters, but a lot of venues around Victoria. And that's, you ask how it was successful, that was the reason why, is because totally threw out the rule book of how it's supposed to be done and had a crack and did it my way. And again, that's just, if you're in business or whatever you do, if you're going to do it properly, that's probably the first thing, all in. But just don't look at how everyone else does it and just follow suit. You're doomed to fail. Look for your own unique little niche that you do, that you can add to that industry, no matter what industry it is, and just have a crack. And put yourself in the customer's position about what's it going to take for you. In my case, what's it going to take for someone to drive 10 minutes from the other side of town and pass 6, 7, 8 bottle shops on the way to get to my bottle shop. And that was our mentality. And that was, again, I think I said yesterday, what I really prided myself on with everything, is that the same level of commitment and dedication and hard work and all that sort of stuff that I put into boxing, that tunnel vision that I put into boxing for all those years, all I did was just put it to the side and slip it straight into the business model. And that was, at the start, working open to close, 7 days a week, just living, breathing, eating, sleeping, whatever it might be, the liquor industry, that up until that point I had no idea what I was doing. And look, to be honest with you, even after all these years, I don't really look at it as the industry, I suppose. I look at them as coloured boxes. And the challenge for me is the deals and the margins and what I can get out of the reps, and I have a bit of fun with it, even to this day. Now, it's not as fun as it was back then, because the government in all their glory have said, well, geez, these bottle shops are making far too much money, and all the agendas they have these days. So after a while, they started to creep it up with the inflation and the CPI and all that sort of stuff, to the point where alcohol these days is almost unaffordable, which is really sad. When you're paying over $60 for a slab of domestic beer, that is ridiculous. Especially when I can get imported beer from parallel importers, so the Coronas and Heinekens, Peronis, all that sort of stuff. I can get importers that buy it from those people that import it, and I can sell it for $10 less than I can sell domestic beer made in Melbourne. So get your head around that. I can sell a slab of Corona from Mexico cheaper than a slab of VB made in Melbourne. That's where the liquor industry is at. So again, I know this is not a boxing related thing, but I think you can take a few things out of it. You can probably see why that side of our business has been successful, because I've just taken, as I said, the boxing mentality and put it into that. No prisoners, just all in, and I just didn't know any other way. It's probably just the way I was wired sort of growing up. But look, I had a bit of fun with it. I still love it to this day. Yes, it's not as big as it used to be. We're not buying as much stock and all that sort of stuff, but I love it. I've probably gone for more quality over quantity these days. So rather than having 20 stores and trying to look after them all, we've got 4, about to be 5, that we can give all our attention to and make them as good as they can be. So guys, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of that journey of what happened outside of boxing, because a lot of people say, geez, you travel a lot, and you know you're always talking about your other business. What exactly do you do? And that's it. So now you know. So if you've got any questions about that, feel free to ask away. But guys, that is going to do it. Hope you enjoy the fights today. If you do watch, it is free on Netflix, so I'm sure that you will watch it. Look, there's nothing else on, and I think we all are, regardless of what our thoughts are, still a little fascinated in exactly what's going to happen in the fight. So guys, that is it for today. Hope you have a good one. We'll catch you tomorrow.